Right. Mark Zuckerberg is cloning himself, and he's going to roll out his AI avatar with voice sync and looks like him, sounds like him, feels like him, whatever, to one-on-ones with his team and things. And maybe is this the way that you run a 79,000 person company? Maybe. I think there's massive dangers for this, but also potentially some wonderful, wonderful things if you get it right. This is the story. For those that haven't heard, Mark Zuckerberg, he's developing this AI sidekick, and he's going to be rolling it out. And I think it's interesting. And then a lot of people have been talking and been like, hold on a sec, it's just going to be turning up to one-on-ones and things like that. And the danger with this, of course, is that it's a bit of a leadership cop-out, you could argue, right? Like you can have leaders that are going to avoid the difficult conversations, and this is an excuse to just outsource your presence. And I think for me, the best leaders, they turn up. They're there for the difficult conversations and things like that. And absolutely, you span it out to 79,000 people, and maybe the context is different. But again, that's where your structure and things come up. So I think there's a huge danger that if leaders follow suit and actually, use it to avoid difficult conversations, then I think people will run into a huge problem. And, people can tell the difference. And they will think, do you care? That's the real question, right? You could have come yourself, or maybe you don't say, and it's just an incredible AI avatar with great lip sync, and you've got absolutely no idea like what it is. So there's that. So you really got to like think carefully. I think it's a bit of a trap. You got to be really careful. I think maybe things like learning and development, wonderful. But then, if you're doing it as a CEO, then your direct report will be like, hold on a sec, Mark's doing that, or Lewis is doing that. So maybe I can do that. Suddenly the whole thing becomes very impersonal, not human. I think that is a path that, you've got to think very, very carefully about. For me, where does that end? The CEO can be cloned, other leaders can be cloned. We've already seen a whole raft of examples of where individuals are coming, interviewing, someone else turns up with AI avatar, lip synced and things like that. I think we've got to be super careful. Let me just share my positive take, because I do think there will be, and AI already is an incredible help for CEOs. So, there might be, Mark Zuckerberg, I'm sure, has an incredible AI agent that is plugged into, or if it's not, will be plugged into all of his stuff. And it can be an incredible, incredible help. You can have Optimus Prime agent plugged into all of your data. It knows what's going on in your company at all times. It can help you with analysis. It can help you with this, and it can help you with that. And so again, I think that's coming. That's there already. Even in our business, each of our team are using multiple agents to help them be more efficient and do their jobs better, and all of that kind of stuff. And you've got some incredible tools coming out. You don't have to build something proprietary by any means. You can plug your stuff into like Claude, for example. Claude Cowork, Claude Desktop is incredible, and we've plugged in a whole raft of things, and we can, use it as our assistant to help us with all of these things, glean insights, data, what's going on our different searches that we're doing, and, all of these kinds of things. So, I think I'm going to stop short at saying, send my AI avatar to the meeting. And I think that's a bit impersonal for me. I'm a human guy. I think human to human interaction is important. And certainly if you're leading teams and stuff of people, you got to be there. And so, I think this is going to be interesting to see how this evolves. Again, I think still, until they're not, humans, leadership teams, great talent, it's incredibly important for companies, and it still will be mixed with agents. And of course, maybe we'll see AI agent only companies at some point in the future. But right now, because we're talking about right now, having great talent and having great humans in your organization is absolutely critical. And you want to make sure that you are there for your team and you're helping them develop and supporting them and things like that. Otherwise, they will go to somewhere to your competitor. So think carefully. I think for me, having a co-CEO as an agent, whatever, incredible. Plug it into your stuff, use it. It will help you be more efficient. It will give you insights or whatever, all of these kind of things. But I think when it comes down to having a conversation with a human, with your leadership, with one of the people that you're leading or a team member and stuff like that, go old school. Take them out for a coffee, go for a walk, be human about it. And yeah, and if you're running 100,000 person company, yeah, put the guardrails in place, be open, think about it properly. That's my thoughts on it. Hope you find it very, very useful. Please do not forget to subscribe. I do this every week. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Lewis Maleh Insight. Subscribe to The Recruitment Show. Follow me on LinkedIn. Subscribe on Spotify. In fact, subscribe everywhere. See you soon.